My name is Caleb. Thanks so much for joining me for this video. So, this is going to be a review of the Nicefoto LV6000A, not to be confused with the 6000B version. The 6000, so the B version of any light is usually the bicolor version, but not with this one. So, if you know you want to get the bicolor version, you have to get the 6000A. Make sure you're reading the website properly, just in case they've finally corrected it. Um, but when I purchased it, at the time that I purchased it, the A version was the bicolor version. So make sure you're getting the bicolor version if that's the one that you want. The B version was the daylight color version, which is 5600 Kelvin. So just for reference, I'm shooting this at some crazy settings. This is how dark it actually looks without the light. So the light is the first pro is how bright the light is, and that is a high quality video light. So just for reference, the settings I'm using is f1.4 ISO 800. It's a Sony camera, so that's the lowest ISO. That's like the base ISO. And 1/2000th of a second. So there's multiple reasons why I decided to shoot this way for this video. The first being, I wanted to show that it's a high quality light. So as you can see, there's a lot of banding on the screen. I don't even know if you can see what the screen is showing. And that's because the screen is emitting a low quality light, where the shutter speed is cutting it up. And that's why you're getting the banding, right? With a high quality video light, you shouldn't be getting any banding, no matter what you set the light to. And this clearly shows it. So the light is on at full power, um, and you're not getting any banding. And in fact, I've tested the light up until 1/8000th of a second and had zero banding. So it's definitely tried and tested. I did the same with the Moles G300 and had the same outcome. No banding all the way up to 1/8000th of a second. So you never have to worry about banding with this light. Um, the other reason why I'm shooting at 1/2000th of a second is to show that the light is really bright, right? So yeah, you can, well, I guess you can't see my computer screen in the back actually, but you can see this light on a little bit. But as you saw how dark it is without the LV600 6000 on, and that light is more than 7 feet away. It's pointing away from me into the ceiling. So it's bounced light and it's still bright enough to give me a decent exposure. So that's the other reason why I shoot at 1/2000 of a second. So, I mean, those two are kind of interconnected, right? Where it's a high quality light, super bright. Um, what makes this even more appealing is the remote, which I showed you inadvertently, where you could control everything. So you could control the light power. It takes you a while to circle this knob all the way down to one, but you could use the remote to do it. You could cycle through the Kelvin. So the Kelvin range is from 2700 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin, which is the brightest Kelvin if I remember correctly, but it's bright all the way through. And when compared to the Moles G300, the Moles G300, which is a 500-watt boost mode, um, was brightest at I think 4600 Kelvin, and you will not be able to tell the difference in how bright the two were because that's the brightest, best performance of that light. But everywhere else, it's very, very clear that this light is significantly brighter than the Moles G300. And when you factor in the price point and the performance that you get, this is second to none. Um, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. I don't want to big up the light too much. So the other great thing about this light is how quiet it is. If you didn't know there was a fan in there, you wouldn't hear the fan. But if you know there's a fan in there, you're gonna hear it because you could hear, you're listening for it, right? But the camera doesn't pick it up, and the camera is actually closer to the light than I am right now. And I could, like I mentioned, I could only hear it because I'm trying to hear it. If my wife or one of my kids came in here, they wouldn't be able to hear that there's a fan on because they wouldn't know a fan is on. Um, so all this to say, it's really quiet, even though it's at max power, and it stays that way the whole time. I've run this light for an extreme long period of time, 6+ hours at full power, and A, the light never overheat, and B, the fan never got any louder, and I guess C, the light itself does not get crazy hot, so it doesn't push a lot of heat out, or at least you don't feel a lot of heat coming off of it, so you don't have to worry about burning anything. But of course, the front of the light is very hot, so that only makes sense, I think. Um, so I think that's it for pros. The remote, how bright it is, how quiet it is. It's a high quality light, and the price, right? So if you're like me and the size don't matter, this is the way to go. But the cons, the size, it's a giant friggin' light. I think it's something like 3 times the size of just the head unit of the Moelis G300, and it's about 2 times the size of the, or like 1.5 times the size of the Moelis G300 with the control portion of it. So it's a big light, but for its size, it's not that heavy in my experience. So I personally don't mind it. And for what I would need this kind of power for, I probably won't be in that small of a space. So this was a no-brainer for me. Um, in terms of cons, I don't think I have any other cons. Maybe that it doesn't have the hole for the umbrella, so I had to do a makeshift one with like the, oh, I can't think of the name of it. But you know the thing that you tighten on your C stand? One of those. So I used one of those. I attached it with um, a C clamp or a super clamp. And that way I can attach an umbrella to it um, if I ever needed to use one. But I would imagine most of you aren't using umbrellas. You're going to use soft boxes, which is Bowen's mount. So no problems there. All right, so that is my review of the Nicefoto LV6000A, the bicolor version. Highly recommend it if you want to get it. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me for this video again. I hope to see you in the next one. Oh, if you have any questions, just feel free to leave it down in the comments below. I'll be more happy to answer them.